It is called organizational effectiveness. That is the ultimate outcome of OB. So, if organizational behavior is understood well, it is also understood that it should be understood that it should be contributing to the effectiveness of an organization. So, by the way, what do we mean by it? We need to study this topic because it's an important one, but you always have a difference with the finance people because finance people also deal with this topic like you also deal with it. So their way of looking at this topic is different from what you do that. And then they would normally look at input output ratios. They also look at what you call return on investment or break even analysis, profit and loss statements, those kind of concepts. They use various ratios. They deal with various financial ratios that would help them to understand whether their organizations are effective or not. But for us, it's slightly different because I've given this clue in our topic on working with groups. In the group model, I had explained you that effectiveness for whom your organization may be making more profits, but your employees are unhappy, your customers are unhappy. That's not an effective organization. So, balance sheets and profits and loss statements are misleading. And by the way, those are all window dressed documents. What is profit making is not clearly known. And then most of the companies are loss making only. They want to escape paying taxes. And they're also not paying to their shareholders the dividends by showing losses. That's what I have seen in the previous workplace. Consistently for 10 years, they were making losses. Nobody would believe it. They would easily know that, a corporate hospital is making a lot of money, but they are showing losses consistently for 10 years to avoid paying dividends. I call that ordination ineffective because 3 years is enough, 4 years maximum. But how you can do that even after 10 years? The standard financial model would suggest that 3 years, you should be breaking even. You should be doing that. And from the fourth year onwards, you should be making profits. That's a standard model. But there are the hospitals which show losses even after 10 years. Why would anybody accept? So every annual general body meeting, the shareholders will come and shout, make mess around, and then at the while going home, all of them is given 1 kilo polarity sweets. They'll pick up that box and then forget about all that investments. So how shareholders are so uh, gullible, I would say. So that's why it's an important topic. We will study that, and then, as I told you, even this topic will not be found in any OB textbook. So let's slowly move into this topic. Why study this topic? Now we know that the input-output ratio is one clue for understanding this topic. How much of inputs that your organization is investing in order to have an output? In other words, we say how much of resources your organization is providing to the operations so that it has any effect on the ultimate outcomes of business. So, in order to know the effectiveness of an organization, in the first place, you must also know whether the resources have any use, any effect. It should have effect, no doubt about it, but how much is an important concept. So, it's all calculations based concept, never mind. And it has attracted the owners of the firm because every owner would like to know whether his or her hospital is effective or not. Why? Because they are concerned for the survival of that hospital. Yeah, if you are not effective, you cannot survive, even personal level. So whatever the work that you're doing, you should be willing to be successful. You should be making more contributions. That's what we call effectiveness. You should be generating more revenue, and then you should be making every stakeholder satisfied. Otherwise, your company cannot survive. Now, society is also another stakeholder. So, how much of impact that you had created on the society, and then how you think your organizations are globally competitive? Are they made like that? So, effective organizations are globally competitive. That's what the message is. So, now what we'll do, we'll go into this. Its importance. It affects worker management relationships. It satisfies all the stakeholders, and it determines the future survival of the business. And therefore, we must study organizational effectiveness. So there are interesting literature available. I will try to share with you some of them. But in the meantime, let us see. There's an interesting book called The Community General Hospital, which was published in 1952. The oldest hospital management book is written by Georgopoulos and Mann in 1952. I tried quite a lot for this book. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it. But now you can try it. 20 years ago, I couldn't get it anywhere. I went every place asking for libraries, asking for publishers. Nobody could have this copy. The oldest hospital management book in the world is called The Community General Hospital by Georgopoulos and Mann. These two professors have applied management concepts to the hospitals as early as 1952. So it's like they were the pioneers, actually, I would call. I also tried my best to write two chapters in a managing a modern hospital book. It's a very popularly sold book in this country, but subsequently I came out of hospital career, and therefore I couldn't write any book on that. So we made an attempt in 2019, but unfortunately the pandemic had disturbed the whole thing. Otherwise, we would have been ready with an interesting book called Managing. I think it was called Invitation to Hospital Management. That was the title of the book. Myself and Dr. Ramesh wanted to write that. So I don't know. We didn't work anything on it as of now. So, but motivation is there to write that book. So let's see what is this concept according to Georgopoulos and Mann. It is the extent to which an organization with given certain resources and means to achieve its objectives without placing undue strain on its members. So very interesting definition they gave. So you should not be stressing out your members, but at the same time, with given resources and the means, you should achieve your business objectives. It's the ratio of input output, as I already told you, and it is also called maximization of return to the organization by all means. That's why you would define it as effectiveness. It is the end product of managerial policies and practices, the structure that you have designed, the technology that you have adopted, and in response to the external environment, and also your employees' personality characteristics, then the climate that you have in your organization, all result in effectiveness of your organizations. Now, what are the factors which contribute to this business effectiveness? Number one, leadership strategies, skills, and styles of leaders. Then number two, management's decisions, very very important. Number three, the philosophy of the organization, the values of the organization, various objectives and policies of the organization also contributes to the effectiveness. If they are faulty, your organizations will not be effective. Then structure contributes to effectiveness because structure is all about defining roles, defining relationships among and between the roles. Then finally, technology also contributes to effectiveness because it helps in transforming raw material into refined products. It's a very interesting factor. Now, there are various models I had come across in what I would say journals, particularly because, as I told you, you will not find this material, effectiveness material, in any OB textbook. Then, how you can understand it without proper framework? So some journals I had referred earlier, and from there I picked up these models. Like for example, how do you define effectiveness? First of all, we had seen so much of definitions as of now, but look at this model. The cause. What are the causes of effectiveness? Then, what interplays between causes and the effectiveness? So there are something called intervening. All these are called intervening. Just before we had seen, but these are the causes which can indirectly contribute to effectiveness. Here at the last column, you can see effectiveness, or it's also called output, in which you know that worker management relationships, the costs, the sales, earnings, and turnover. All these are dimensions of effectiveness according to this model. So, but if you look at the causes, stress, motivation and morale, commitment, conflict resolution, performance, decision making, and problem solving. all would in the long run contribute to the output, but they on their own directly they will not contribute because they need to have the support of these variables called intervening. So stress and leadership strategies, stress and management decisions, sorry, stress and our national philosophy, stress and objectives of of our nation, stress and policies of the nation, stress and organizational structure and technology. That's the way you have to understand. Stress plus leadership leads to these outputs. Motivation plus all of this lead to this. Commitment plus all of this. Conflict plus all of this. So all these in combinations would contribute to the effectiveness. That's the broad model. There are many more models I didn't want to share because